Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We open at a toy warehouse with a homeless man taking shelter for the night. Whiskey Pete breaks in through the window and stumbles around in the dark before politely asking the dolls if he can squat here with them. Hearing no objections, he rides around on a tricycle having the time of his life until it's cut short when he runs into a cardboard box and cracks open his skull. Homeless head juice seeps into some toys, which causes 4 to get possessed by lesser demons because that's just how summoning rituals work. Under the leadership of baby Oopsie Daisy, they manifest out of thin air and then use some kind of magic to blink the bum out of existence. There's the clown worm called Jack Attack, a robot called Mr. Static, and a cracked out G.I. Joe named Zombietoid. Sitting outside in her car having nightmares about the demonic toys is Officer Judy, who had a run-in with the minute murderers a few months ago. She sent them back to hell but radios the police captain to tell him that they've returned because a vagrant had to go and bleed all over the place. The angry boss on the other side of the radio shouts that he fired Judith after her mental breakdown 6 months ago, so it's a worry she still walks around with a gun and badge. Ignoring whatever he says, she bursts in on the toys and begins unloading bullets with Mr. Static, who fires face-melting lasers back. When they get a chance, the Fantastic Four manage to escape into the ventilation duct, where Judy mag dumps and hopes for the best because she can't fit. The building has a security guard named Ray who's 3 foot 6 inches of hornball and brings along a couple of police officers to inspect the commotion. They're immediately like, "Not this crazy toy conspiracy lady again, we fired her months ago and now she won't leave these people alone." While Judy is dragged away only to be released the following day, Raymond meets Daisy the Deceiver, who enlists the tiny disciple. He begins dragging dead girls onto a pentagram in the basement where the greater demon's minions sacrifice them, causing the bodies to disappear. They ambiguously tell Ray that his life will change when their master receives enough blood, so the simple guard thinks they mean reward him. Elsewhere, a police officer from outer space named Bardo wanders around aimlessly after he got stranded on Earth during his last mission. The 13-inch tall alien had a license to kill on his homeworld and chased a fugitive who stole a spaceship and crash-landed on Earth. Brick blew up the bad guy in an epic shootout and now wanders the planet searching for a mate that won't smoosh him with her coochie. One day, while trying not to get stepped on by a flabbergasted pedestrian, Brick learns about a 12-inch woman living in the nearby town of Pahuta. He begins hitchhiking to tell the woman that she isn't alone in having to climb around kitchen counters in her house like a bipedal rodent. Nurse Ginger spends all of her days eating chunks out of a giant piece of toast and sunbathing in a bikini that she makes out of a napkin. She was once of regular height and would dance on her patients like any normal nurse until one day aliens shrunk her down to the size of a Barbie. It makes Earth girls easier to abduct, however the mean green mother from outer space was defeated before it could escape. The other bottled babes were turned back into their original height, however Ginger remains snack-sized and now must make the best of it. One day, while sunbathing with a piece of tinfoil and probably half a drop of tanning lotion, Ginger is peeped on by a sleazy reporter. Collins read about the foot-long female who wields a butter knife like a greatsword and wants to interview her because who wouldn't? Ginger agrees so long as he leaves her alone afterwards, but Collins says he will return later and we never actually get to see the interview. The moment he walks away, a stop-motion spider is about to eat his exclusive, but Brick arrives and blows up the 8-legged freak. His space pistol is considered the most powerful gun in the universe back on his home planet, but here it's slightly better than an explosive round. Ginger is shocked to see somebody else her size, and the brooding Dollman plays it up by telling the bikini-clad woman that he's here to fill her in. At the moment, that means informing her that he's an alien cop with an intergalactic license to kill, but Ginger seems more concerned about getting an even tan. When she asks if she would be considered a babe on his homeworld, Brick knocks her down a peg by saying that she would do all right. This prompts her to give her entire backstory in return, while getting closer and closer to the Dollman as you can tell where this is going. Brick fills her in yet again, this time with his baby carrot, and sometime afterwards Collins must interview the pair. Judith saw his report and comes asking for the little people's location because she thinks Ginger and Brick can help her little toy problem. She basically wants to throw them into the warehouse vent that she couldn't fit inside and flirts with Collins until he gives up their address. One knee to the balls later, because why the hell not, Judy visits the tiny twosome who just finished doing it Dolly style in the kitchen drawer. Ginger doesn't believe the story about possessed toys, but will then say she was shrunk by an alien while getting Brick down by another. She's just jealous because Brick agrees to help Judith slay some demonic toys, but since Ginger is a nurse, we bring her anyway for bandages and stuff. Judy shows up at the toy warehouse with the pair inside a suitcase and sneaks them into the building that still doesn't have any locks. She lets them out, but none of the toys seem like much of a threat according to Ginger, who's going to get stepped on if she doesn't shut up. Suddenly all the unpossessed toys activate and the demonic ones appear from the vent, so Judy opens fire, alerting Ray to her presence. He threatens to kill the intruder but says it instead of doing it, so Judy just shoots him in the head, sending the little guy toes up. The robot then laser blasts Judith in her tits, so Bardo destroys it with a couple space bullets, but it's too late to save the giant woman. Judy tells Brick to finish the job they started, then assumes room temperature, but neither of these two micro-humans met her before today, so no tears are shed. Brick then leaves the girl behind because she forgot to bring her greatsword and goes toy hunting until getting jumped by the small soldier. He knocks the gun away, so Brick uses the retrieval device built into his hand, but the most powerful gun in the universe is stuck. Before the obvious man in a costume slashes Brick, Ginger discombobulates him by throwing a bunch of what looks like gumballs. Jack Attack shows up, so Ginger climbs into the vent to escape and gets chased around the maze of tunnels by the giant makeup-wearing worm. Brick climbs into the vent and tries to locate his footlong girlfriend, but has an oopsie daisy and gets backhanded into unconsciousness. He wakes tied up between two remote-controlled trucks and about to be torn in two in front of a restrained Ginger. Daisy reveals that it's their plan to impregnate the girl, then eat her baby's unborn soul so the shell can serve as their master's vessel. Big Baby will do the impregnating personally and even explains why the toy warehouse is the only place that they can achieve this. 66 years ago, their demonic master was born to a violated woman, but some kids threw him in a ditch across the street. This warehouse was then built atop it, so their sacrifices need to be bled out in the basement directly over the demon's grave. To set the mood, Daisy plays a tiny record on a tiny player which somehow works and is about to tear Brick in half. But Ginger escapes her bindings and uses the hand of the clock like a sword to cut the alien officer free. The demons then abduct Ginger while the Dollman grabs a tiny hockey stick for a weapon, which I guess came from a toy and wasn't somehow shrunk. He's then attacked by the Big-Eyed Joe, but it's rather brief as Brick slips a strike and the demonic toy impales his machete into a power socket. Major Chip Hazard explodes while Brick retrieves the most hard-to-reach gun in the universe, then waits to ambush Jack Attack. As he comes slithering by, Brick leaps on the giant worm, but guns are better at range, so he steps back in order to use his. He blows Jack's head off, while elsewhere Ginger is handcuffed to the bed in a doll's house with a set of cuffs from Barbie's honeymoon collection. We see a few shots of an enormous doll in scale with Ginger as it grabs at her chest with its inflatable hands until the clock strikes midnight. Daisy then gets imbued with the power of their master to impregnate the girl, which is another way of saying grows a big set of balls. Before it gets them out, Brick leaps through the window, but Daisy orders him to put the gun down before his girlfriend's tiny neck breaks. Since the demon can just possess another doll but Ginger can't possess a new spine into her throat, Brick obliges and watches from the corner. Just when he thinks he could get used to this, Ginger knees Daisy in the baby balls, which makes 4 for 2 from the leading ladies. Brick Go-Go Gadget hands his gun and blows Daisy to smithereens, sending baby batter flying all over the place. He then embraces the tiny chick and promises to take her home after they first inform the police that Judith died in the line of duty. They jump in a cab where the driver is less concerned that Toy Story is in his backseat and more that Ginger is from a place called Pahuta.
What?
And the movie ends.